Hi everyone, welcome to TutorialsLink community and India. Today, we are honored to have Michelle, Microsoft MVP, specifically on data MVP, and she has an experience of 30 years, 20 years on Microsoft SQL, to be specific, currently at Python. So, Michelle, welcome to this session, and I thank you for accepting our request to help students and early professionals because knowledge is to empower others.
Thank you for having me.
My
It's very,
pleasure.
it's very exciting.
So the question that usually students and early professionals do a lot of times to ask is that there's so much of the organizations that provide community, technical community things to students outside of the university, inside of the university. Since you're experienced, like what are the things or the characteristics things you look forward before joining a technical community?
Um, so before I'm joining a community, I'm looking to, so you're asking me what are the characteristics in the community that I'm looking for?
Yes, like it should have into this community that makes you feel like you should join the technical community, uh, to be very specific.
Okay, so me, I really like to learn. I'm a person that likes to learn and to share my knowledge in the community. And I really think that it's fantastic that today we can find all the information online. And, we can ask questions and get answers pretty quickly. When I started my career in IT in 1988, we did not have internet and we only had books available, those big books. We
Right.
had to and we start looking for information. And nowadays, everything is like out there. And the knowledge, when I started, the knowledge was only transferred inside the team or in big conventions. So we didn't have all this information. So the young generation is very lucky because you can find and be part of local and remote communities um, that you feel comfortable, right? So you can research and you can be part of the community, and the everything, especially now with COVID, that everything is done online. So the idea is to find like-minded people that are doing the same thing that you're interested in doing, and just learning and sharing your knowledge.
Right, right. And you have been awarded with Microsoft MVP. Share with us your experience towards the journey of Microsoft MVP, how it's so much helping you in your networking, in your day-to-day activities towards coding, or in your practices of coding. Like, please share with us.
Okay. So my journey, first, I will say what I have now. So being an MVP, you have to present and blog and be very active in the community. So what I do myself is usually I choose topics that I would like to learn about. And I literally learn while I'm creating the presentation or the blog. And luckily, the MVP program gives you credits in Azure and other Microsoft tools. And that's amazing because you can actually create a lot of environments and tests and do your demos and presentations. Sometimes I also present or blog about topics that I already have experience with, and I think that those things should be shared with the community, either problems that I faced or some interesting case studies. And what I do is I blog or I present, and then I learn from the questions that I'm being asked. So for me, being an MVP, I'm always learning, I'm sharing, but I'm always learning from the others as well. Except for that, all your public activities when you're an MVP give you exposure. So it's very good for the career, your career as well. I always tell my client, okay, feel free to Google me, okay, and it gives you exposure, and it helps people recognize you for what you're doing, right, for your activities. But when I started, I was actually very shy. Plus, English is my third language. So I was not very confident in presenting or blogging because I was always feeling like my English is not good enough. But I wanted still to get out of my comfort zone. And this is something that, I would recommend people to try and get outside of your comfort zone and get that exposure. Um, I remember my first presentation in English. Oh my God, I was standing in front of the audience and my legs were shaking, my voice was shaking. But I knew that I had to start somewhere. And luckily, as you go forward and you start presenting, slowly it's becoming better and better and better until it becomes your second nature. um, and the interaction with the people, being an MVP, talking to people that understand what you're talking about, sharing information. So being part of the MVP community, with people that have the same energy as you, it's very, very encouraging. It's energizing. It's fun. Because you're able to share ideas, experiences, and also opinions. Imagine meeting people that are as passionate as you about the technical stuff. That's just amazing. So I did not talk about my journey and becoming MVP. I will talk a little bit about my journey. So I started as a Sybase trainer. Okay, so I was a developer before, and then I became a Sybase trainer. So for those of you who don't know, Sybase 20 years ago, around 20 years ago, Sybase and Microsoft joined to create the product of SQL Server.
Right.
And eventually, this partnership broke, and both companies remained with the code. And so then Microsoft started developing the SQL Server, and Sybase stayed with Sybase. So at that point, I was a trainer. I knew everything. I knew all the internals of Sybase. And then all of a sudden, I had projects, and I decided to go on SQL Server, to SQL Server. But I did not feel like I know enough to be as involved, to present, like I was a trainer before, but I did not feel comfortable. So it took me a few years to actually work on the SQL Server side. And I started I started presenting and blogging and doing stuff in the community around 10 years ago. But only until like 3 years ago, I felt like I was ready to be an MVP. And a year ago, I finally got my MVP award. But I've been doing things for 10 years. I was blogging, I was presenting, but I was only felt like really comfortable in being MVP 3 years ago. I'm very lucky.
Right, and thanks, and I do really appreciate you for sharing your experience to our audiences. Now, the question that I'm very eager to ask you, and the most, most asked questions by our members is that IT industry and the work culture has been changing a lot, especially during the COVID times, where remote is one of the options, where people used to not look at the remote options before COVID. So what's your take on this remote situation? How can people or early professional can take the most of the advantages through this situation, to be specific?
That's a great question. I was about to say that the world of IT is changing so fast. When I started 30 years ago, things were not as fast. So you had to go to a course, you learn. I was an Oracle developer. So you go to a course, you learn, and then you just work, and you have books, you have your team, and things don't change as much. So uh, the companies, the vendors are changing a little bit. You have new features, but it was very slow. And as the year passed, I noticed that the IT industry is changing so fast. So for the current students and the young professionals, this is their life, right? They do not know how it was before when things were very, very slow. So what I do right now, and for me, it was I evolved with the industry. So what I suggest is that you always have to stay up to date and define or plan your career path based on current trends as much as possible. Okay, so you know what there is, you know the new trends. Try to understand what you actually want to be, but don't go to the old stuff. Try to stay up to date. But even if you find a job or you start working with something that is not the new technology, make sure that you're always up to date. You read, you research, you're being part of the community. So um, you probably want, so this is what I do. So even though I have I'm older, okay, so I have other personal responsibilities. I have I have my full-time job, I have a family, I have other personal things that I have to do. But even like that, I try to take around an hour or 2 hours per week before I go to bed and just learn something new, something either strengthen my knowledge around something that I already know. For example, I'm a data platform MVP. So let's say I'm not sure how SQL Server or Azure works in a specific on a specific thing. So I research and I understand what it's doing behind the scenes. Or I learned something new, like we have all those cloud platforms are evolving so fast and they have new features. So I want to understand what is the difference between the cloud platform. So I always try to be up to date and learn something new. And I always know where my career goes, right? So I ask my managers, I would like to do a project. If we get those projects, I would like to do project that is something like that. So they always open their eyes, and if there is a project, with the new technology, they know that I'm interested to do that. And I also play a lot. Like I said, I'm presenting, I'm blogging, so I play a lot with the new technology. Um, I think that Microsoft gives students some credits, like you can get some credits, or if you're starting some of the companies, some of the Microsoft partners, they get some credit. So just play with things, test things, read, and be up to date.
Right, right. When talking about just online identity, like how much is it so important for students or recently graduating students to have a solid foundation of our online identity to represent their works online? Like how it's so important during these COVID situations?
Yes, another great question. So, when employers are looking for like you send your resume somewhere, employers or even recruiters will usually look for you. So I think that LinkedIn is very important, and you need to make sure that everything that you've done and everything that you know is actually there. Be careful not to put something that you actually don't know, because when you're going to be interviewed, the interviewer, if this is a technical person, they will know that you're cheating. um, it's very easy nowadays to just blog and present, right? Like the community is hungry for knowledge and everything is out
Right.
there on. You don't have to, if you're, for example, if you're in India, it doesn't mean that you have to present for India. If you have if you feel comfortable presenting in English or any other language, you can just find a community out there that is eager to learn that okay. And don't think that even if you're a junior, okay, you can still learn things. You can research online and see, okay, is this topic, is there, are there a lot of presentations and blog about this topic? Maybe I can learn myself, and I can be an expert in something, and just be there. So I would encourage you. So it's very important to work on your positive energy, and don't be afraid to just put yourself out there. Things that you've been doing, things that you're interested. Ask questions, answer questions. You can go. You have places where you can answer questions to what people say. So don't be shy. Just go for it, and people will notice you.
Right. Yep. The thing that most of the students are into this confusion, right? There are two usually ways that they put out themselves into the resume of companies. Usually one, that is they make the general resume and send it to various companies. And there are some set of students who usually make or prefer to make a customized resume based upon the requirement of the companies. So just throw a light on this situation. Like which one do you prefer, and like which one should students should also prefer?
Okay, that's a very, very good question, because I'm the one interviewing in my company, one of the people that interview technically at the company. So my son is also a developer. So I just said this 2 days ago to him. He was asking me the same question. He's a full stack developer. So I said, listen, I think that the first person that will see your resume is a recruiter, is not someone technical. So what will happen is that the technical people, the technical manager will say, okay, we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4. So the recruiter is going to look for resumes that have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the more your resume has those things. So let's say even let's say that you did HTML, XML, JavaScript, SQL Server, MySQL, things. Put everything just as your skills. Put I know this, and this, but make sure that when you are going to be asked about that, you will know what to answer exactly. Okay. So what I'm saying is that you can put your skill set in words that you know that recruiters are going to look for. This is how your resume is going to pop to them. Then they're going to contact you. It's going to go through probably a process depending on the company. In big companies, it's going to be a recruiter that talks to you. First, they're going to make sure that your personality fits the company. Always try, when you're interviewed, always try to have like a good energy, positive energy, and if you don't know, it's okay to say I don't know, but always make the interviewer feel like, yeah, I'm eager to learn, I'm eager to know, I can do this. Okay. So from the recruiter, then you have probably a manager interviewing you and see if your personality fits, if they like you, and then the technical person. So when you are with a technical person, I know it's very stressful because I'm interviewing technically. So sometimes I have, junior or even senior that are very stressed about the interview. So be yourself. It's okay not to know everything. We don't have to know everything. But me, when I interview technically, I also look for potential. Okay. So I ask you things that you may not know, but I want to see how you think and how would you tackle, hard to solve problems. You don't have to know, but how the way you think, it's very important as well. So what I'm saying is that knowledge can be acquired always, but the potential is what we're looking for, right?
So you have a lot of experience. Now, if I did tell you, to be very blunt with you, like life always ups and downs, but through your experiences, if someone gives you an opportunity to share experiences to your early version of yours in just a small amount of time, what would be your suggestions, your guidance? Preferably, I'm looking forward to learn from you.
That's a good question. So it's very hard for an older person to tell a younger person what they should do. Okay, I'm trying with my kids, believe me, because you don't have the same perspective of life as you had when young. But if I had to give you a suggestion, is go outside of your box, go of your comfort zone. If sometimes I'm saying to younger people, just go present. Don't be afraid. Go blog. But they say, but I don't know what, I don't feel comfortable doing this yet. So time will come when you will be comfortable. So you need to plan what you want, and then just step by step, one day at a time, you have to progress. And I think that the best advice that I can tell you is that tomorrow you need to be a little bit better than what you are today. And you have to just define your path and go one step at a time. If now I go back to being 20 in my 20s, you know, I'm not going to be the same person. So I cannot tell myself what to do right now from my perspective. I have different perspective on life, right? But if you define your path and go slowly, I think you will get there.
Right. Thank you so much. I was very much looking to this question. You know, like personally, I was looking forward to this answer. And really do appreciate that you gave us the time, and I really do, you know, thank you personally for having us, to be honest, having us an opportunity to meet you, to have you on an interview and ask you questions. And I really do appreciate that. And yes, this was
I
all about the.
appreciate for I appreciate having me. You know, I think it's very important, and I really appreciate what you guys doing because it's very important for new people nowadays. To, you know, it's very confusing. Everything is very confusing. All the information is out there. You know, like what am I doing? What path should I take? So I understand where you guys are at, and I really appreciate what you at TutorialsLink are doing. It's very important.
Thank you so much, and we're really looking forward to have you on board again with our next sessions. Very soon, we think we'll be having conference. So till then, thank you so much, and I'm just signing off.
Thank you.